Next question. I'll repeat the question.
I really appreciate a lot of what you said, these conversations, Black Panther Party conversations. And as we were talking about all the things that Black Panther did, and you guys really use your space. So what I want to know is how you have all the resources and to put on like free breakfast programs,
Right. Everybody asks that question. How do we do it? How do we have the resources to carry out this program? Well, you know, they always say where there's a will, there's a way. When we decided that we were going to put together the free breakfast program, I can tell you that in LA, because I joined the Black Panther Party in Southern California, we were looking for food. And some of us had enrolled in UCLA. And we noticed that there was a whole lot of food going out of the dormitories every night being thrown in the trash. And not to count dented cans and all kinds of stuff being thrown out. And so we just asked them for the food, and they gave it to us. I saw yesterday in, I'm not going to tell you that I was looking at People magazine. I must have just been looking at it all day. I was just in the airport just looking at it. I really didn't read the magazine, even though it didn't have Rihanna on the cover, right? I did not do that, no. But there was this young white girl in an article about her, I would say 19 or 20. And she was involved, at some point she was in a hurricane, and people were basically homeless. They had all these beds or whatever, and some kind of way she went to a hotel and saw they were throwing out sheets and towels that they no longer could clean anymore, whatever they claimed they couldn't. And she asked them if she could have them. They said sure. And so she now gets hotel towels and stuff, washes them, and gives them to shelters for the homeless and other people. Now, why is that so complicated? Because not. There's a whole bunch of stuff out there. Sometimes you might just get it because you ask for a donation. Sometimes you might have to say, stick them up. Now, we did that too. So, all depends on the kind of organization you have. But you can believe me that when we talked about, we would go to the neighborhood stores and we would say we would like to get so many eggs every week. And we would go to we went to the Safeways. Maybe some of them resisted. And then we had to put down their resistance, but we did, you know, different boycotts and stuff like that. In some cases we had our own, we developed businesses. We had a nightclub in Oakland called the Lamp Post. We put on a couple of concerts where we made money. We had the Ike and Tina Turner show at one point. I don't even want to talk about that. It's a deep moment, trust me. But anyway, so we did a variety of things. How did we staff the clinic? Well, we just asked doctors, especially people who are just coming out of medical school, what else did they have to do? I mean, they could give an hour. The saddest part is that we didn't find a lot of blacks who would do it. So people say, why do you have so many white doctors at your clinic? Because these are the people who come and put that hour a week in to the clinic. We didn't care who was at the clinic. How did we get the supplies? Well, those were the health supplies were interesting because we didn't know where we were going to get this stuff from. And so, but one thing we realized is that when you're poor and you're black and you go to the hospital emergency room, you'll be there for 4 or 5 hours. And sometimes in those days, not so much today, although I did notice this recently, they would leave you in a room for 4 or 5 hours. Well, the room would be full. What's this? Stuff for the clinic? So, you know, we called it liberating. We called it liberating in those days. We called it liberating. So, and it was just every single thing you could do. You'd be surprised, though, what you can do. How do we get the clinic? Well, you'd have an abandoned building in the hood. I mean, what, the slumlord's going to come down there and kick you out? No. You'd be surprised. People could just take over the building. Change the lock yourself, you know, fix it up, and you know, just do the best that you can. But that is really how we really did it. And everyone was required to have a health clinic, and everyone was required to have free breakfast. So you just had to figure out in your particular area how you would do it. Like I remember Fred Hampton once got this big cash and donation of, what do you call these shoes? Somebody, Stein, I can't remember the name of that shoe. No, Stacey Adams shoes. That's, you guys don't know what that is, but it's like a real shoe, you know, as opposed to a sneaker, you know, right? But in Chicago, you need something hard on your feet, between all that in that cold weather. And so we had shoe programs, and we just did different things. We had free shoes. We had testing of this and that. I mean, I think to myself, for example, we had in our health clinic at one point in Oakland, we developed an ability to give free pap smears. And people say, oh, how's that possible? Well, because a pap smear is nothing anyway. It's just a screening test, right? It's a Q-tip. I mean, that's what we're talking about. And it has to just be read under a, under microscope or whatever they read under. But the point is, it doesn't cost that much. But now to get a pap smear, you have to go to a doctor. In order to go to a doctor, you got to pay money to go to the doctor. So a lot of young women are developing cervical cancer because they just can't get a pap smear. So when you realize how really easy it is to give a pap smear, then you can find maybe some doctors that you can organize around a program. But I always look at a big university like this, and I think that if I wanted to feed some children or give some children an opportunity, I said this to my friends at UC Santa Cruz, when right down the street you got all those poor Mexicans picking those strawberries out of the Watsonville strawberry fields. I said, why don't you help some of those people and let their children come up on this campus where you got a swimming pool and all these nice dormitories or something. This is not going to cost you a dime. Transportation on all these campuses that don't do anything all day long. You could be taking some people up to visit their people in prison. So there's things, and that's how we did it. We just, I mean, some of it was quote-unquote illegal, but I've lived as an outlaw for a long time now, yes?
I have a couple questions for you. Can you talk to us about maybe the design of the and what we can learn from that? And last year you mentioned that you were writing a book about H.R. Brown, and you can give us some quotes.
I am. I'm still writing that book. He's now in a federal penitentiary. Very hard to talk to him. He was put in the hole recently, but he and his wife and I, Karima, in theory, we're going to get this book finished, but it isn't easy because it's hard to talk to him and it's hard to just do the work, given the urgency of trying to get him out of prison and work on, you know what I mean? In other words, like the reality is bigger than telling the story, So I am working on that book still, though. As far as the demise of the party, I think that's a very powerful question because many, many things obviously, came together, but certainly the government's hand was in it. And it wasn't just COINTELPRO, which was the counterintelligence program of the FBI, which caused us to, suffer tremendously. Not just the direct hits that we took, like in the raid on our office in 1969, and the people who were shot and people who were wounded, Fred Hampton and Mark Clark killed in Chicago, and the chilling effect that had on people thinking about joining the Black Panther Party. I remember in L.A. When the chapter started, everybody wanted to be a Black Panther. It was so cool, the black leather jacket and the beret, and everybody's like, yeah. They could catch women with it, because I'm a soldier now and a warrior and all this stuff. And then in August of 1968. 3 young men who were in the party, Tommy Bartholomew and Steve Roberts, and Tommy Lewis and Steve Roberts, and Steve Bartholomew and Roberts. I'm sorry, I can't got the names all confused. The 3 of them were shot in an incident on a corner in L.A. We always say we remember Adams and Montclair. And Steve Bartholomew was only 21 years old. The police shot his head off of his shoulders. And you can believe me that after that you couldn't find anybody. People were trying to give away black leather jackets. They didn't want to even say they had one. So there was that kind of an effect that it had on people. People going to prison, people being jailed all the time and so forth. So that just this steady thing made it really hard to be in the Black Panther Party. And it was a 24-hour-a-day commitment, and there was no money, and we didn't have jobs. We all had to commit ourselves to the party, blah, blah. And that was hard. I think it was hard. And we were going to develop another type of organization, I think. But then there was also just, at the moment when we got to the place where we moved into the Oakland area and consolidated everything in Oakland, and the reason that we consolidated everything in Oakland is because Huey had the vision and understanding that we were dissipated around the country, and our force was very limited. But if we could talk about Oakland, and why was Oakland important? Well, as I said, it had the 2nd largest port in the world. And how does one create a revolutionary base in the United States of America? You're not going to go into the hills and hide all the hills.